for the second presentation, we will have a little bit of a switch around. It's only two people, and Stephen will be playing the part of Professor Raven, and Logan will be performing the part of Hector, a student. Time, the present, which is to say now, not, say, a Christmas present, unless you are reading this on Christmas, in which case it is indeed the Christmas present, but is not in and of itself a present that one would receive on Christmas. Capiche? Place, a student's residence. Lights up on a student residence. There is a desk with a computer on it. Professor Raven stands near Hector, unperceived by him.
Good evening. With midterms upcoming, many of you, particularly the freshmen, have hesitantly come to me asking what strategies work best when writing an academic paper. I understand your trepidation. Asking a professor for this advice can be intimidating, particularly given your timing, which is, to say the least, insulting. And as punishment for your impudence, you'll be writing an additional 500 pages over the course of the semester, apologizing to me a minimum of 1,000 different ways. I'm joking, of course. 100 pages, minimum of 50 apologies. But, nonetheless, I do believe a refresher is in order. Many professors dole out unhelpful and misleading advice when advising students on good academic habits, saying that you need to allow yourself large amounts of time or have a topic in mind when you sit down to write, or, God forbid, start with a thesis. This is getting entirely too far ahead of the problem. The first step is, of course, to determine which paper you're writing.
English, history, applied mathematics.
If there are multiple candidates, start with a sort of paper triage. Determine which one is due first, which one will be easiest to write, and which one will tear your soul from your living flesh and rend it in twain, causing you to spend the remainder of your life servicing truck drivers orally in dirty bathroom stalls while they sing off-key renditions of Moon River.
I'll do all three at once.
This tactic rarely works.
How do I carry a split infinitive?
For obvious reasons.
Well, hell, I've got 6 days to work on this. I think I'll take the night off. I've totally earned a break this week.
Hector exits.
A lesson in quantum physics. Saying anything which remotely resembles the phrase, "I've got plenty of time," will automatically cause a rip within the fabric of space-time in favor of the deadline. This is a leftover from the age of Greek tragedy, wherein hubris would cause a hero's downfall. In the modern era, the fates just like to fuck with procrastinators.
Hector enters.
Holy shit, I've got 6 hours to write this paper.
Many people will tell you not to panic in this situation. I'm not one.
Ah, God, what am I gonna do?
Phrase 1. Bargaining.
Okay, God. You owe me for all those times I never pushed a screaming child in front of a bus. That took a lot of willpower.
Phase 2. Real bargaining.
Hector picks up the phone.
Aaron? Yeah, hi, this is Hector. Yeah, listen, could I, exchange sexual favors for an essay? Hello? Jeez, try to do a favor for an uggo.
Phase 3. Realize you're wasting time by bargaining.
Ah, fuck.
Now that you have attained a focus, consider the following. Does the paper in question require research? If so, how many sources?
15 sources besides class readings, which I haven't read, preferably all written by dead white
A
guys.
classicist. How refreshing.
Okay, I have 6 dead white guys sitting on my bookshelf, so I only need 9 more.
With that in mind, start gathering sources. Given your lack of time, the internet is hands down your best bet.
That guy's dead. That guy's dead. That guy's still alive, but just barely. That guy's dead, but Spanish. Does that count as white?
The Spanish rarely count as anything in academia. Unless they're writing about syphilitic optimists and windmills.
Oh, hey, this guy just died. And he was Belgian. That's like twice as white as any other nationality.
As many a professor will tell you, dead people are almost always more relevant than your contemporaries. Unless your professor wrote the textbook, which automatically grants them relevancy.
Now I've got 15 sources and no idea how the fuck to integrate them into my paper.
Use a random number generator to pick a page. Scan it for something which sounds profound.
If you purchase this book without a cover, you should be aware that this book is stolen property.
Ignore the publisher's warning.
No time.
In which case, write as much as you can on interpreting the meaning of your selection, including author's intent.
Never judge a book by its cover unless the cover is missing, in which case judge the book to be stolen, which in turn means that people who don't cover themselves are stolen, which this in turn plays into the idea that slavery still exists, which is why sex slaves rarely wear clothes.
That's an interpretation.
Therefore, nudist colonies should be raided and the merchandise restored to its rightful owners.
Excellent. Once you have enough sources and paragraphs, you must then assemble them into a coherent piece dealing with the course's assignment using proper MLA formatting. In this case, the assignment is what?
Free verse poetry of the modernists.
Not to worry. In situations where you haven't read the assignment before beginning work, simply write an additional paragraph or two relating it back to a relevant source from class readings.
If T.S. Eliot had looked past judging books by their cover, he wouldn't have been anti-Semitic.
And?
He might have thought the Jews were stolen.
Very good. You may wish to consider turning this into a piece on slavery. You could tie in Walt Whitman's poetry dedicated to President Lincoln.
Now that sounds like something you'd find in a journal. I want something more accessible.
In which case, you'll still need a thesis statement, preferably based on the work you've already done.
Books lead to racism.
Once you've got your ducks in a row, and you're well into writing your paper, you should take a moment to make sure your work is still coherent.
Why did I start writing about the Garfield comic strip?
Of course, some moments of incoherency may bring new insight.
Of course! T.S. Eliot wrote poems that were also turned into the musical Cats, which, like Garfield, is also a giant piece of crap.
As long as it ties into your thesis.
Odie is clearly a metaphor for the state of the Hebrew nation.
As you reach the final minutes before the assignment is due, start working on clearing up the piece. It doesn't matter how...
Professor Raven takes a moment to look at Hector.
brilliant your piece is, mechanics are important. Misspelled words and miscellaneous errors will make it look as if you aren't taking the assignment seriously. Therefore, always take every suggestion, the spell check and grammar check out of it.
That cat might as well be Hitler. Semicolon. M-I-T-E.
During the polishing phase, remember to look at your paper and make sure it follows the tropes of academic writing. For example, within a modernist poetry paper, always mention Ezra Pound. Pro or anti doesn't matter, simply mention him.
John Arbuckle is Ezra Pound. Fuck, the sun is up.
Don't let time snatch victory from you. If you've been consuming massive amounts of caffeine at regular intervals, you should be able to stop time with the power of your thoughts.
I am stone. Time does not affect a stone. I am eternity. There is no beginning. There is no end. There is no now. Pause. Rewind. Play previous track. I am Neo. I know Kung Fu. I can make bullets stop with my mind. Shit, it isn't working.
In which case, you simply need to work faster.
In conclusion, the factors of racism in books are synonymous, as it's obvious that Johannes Gutenberg was racist because he was German, and everyone knows that all Germans of every time period are racist, or at least hate everyone. This is evident by the German language, lacking the word for fluffy, which is what Garfield is, and Garfield also hates everybody, so therefore Garfield is also German, and possibly Ezra Pound.
Don't forget the annotated bibliography.
God damn it, this source is a valid source because it has a penguin on the cover and that's very prestigious. This one is published by a university press and smells like mothballs, and this one is on a website run by someone who believes in alien abduction but also has wonderful insight on E.E. Cummings and anal probes. What does Diane Hacker say about formatting a citation for tea leaves?
Just use the same format that you would for citing a book, but list the author as fate.
Done. I need a smoke.
Hector exits.
And now we'll go forward a week to when the grades come back.
Hector enters, talking on a phone and carrying his essay.
You worked 5 weeks on it? What grade you get? Oh, nice. Yeah, I got an A+. It's written on here. Your insights were inspired, genius, and madness rolled into one package.
98.6% of homework is done the night before. As a result, most academic writing is terrible. If you can express your ideas, no matter how bafflingly stupid they may be, in an intelligent way, you're likely to be rewarded. Of course, this means that your professors put no effort whatsoever into grading with what they pay us. Is that really surprising?
Oh, wait, I have 2 papers here. That was Erin. She sits next to me.
Hector flips the pages over.
My score was a restraining order. I can't be within 500 feet of the instructor at all times. She found some of my comments to be disturbing and lacking coherency. And also anti-Semitic, which she didn't appreciate given her Jewish ancestry. Political correctness is going to ruin this country.
Other educators, however, have a modicum of sense. I hope this answered your questions. Class dismissed.
Lights down.